Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Kabam's latest update against cheaters, July 10th post, and it is quite interesting. If you guys are hearing some background noise, then please bear with me. I can't really help that out. There is somebody operating a chainsaw in the woods nearby my backyard, so that kind of came as a surprise. Hopefully they're not after me for my big mouth, but let's take a look at it. Last month, we took action against hundreds of arena cheaters. The goal of that action was to restore competitive integrity to Arena, and it worked. Arena cutoffs fell substantially, and those engaging in fair play were much more likely to secure rewards they deserved. And this, full credit to Kabam, it indeed did help. The cutoffs did go down for well over like 50 million, and that made it much more enticing for players to grind Arena, myself included. And it has had a fairly drastic effect of my alliance in general and their participation in Arena versus prior to the change to Arena, which obviously had a lot to do with it as well, where we went from top 100 to top 400 players getting the 6-star champion. Then, as this kind of like second punch came with cleaning up arena botters, now New Nation went from basically 0 people grinding for the new champions to about a dozen for virtually, every champion. So that is a massive positive change, and we do need to give Kabam props for that. Coming as late as it did, though. Over the past month, that competitive integrity has started to slip again. Cheaters began to return to the arena. We saw forum posts, we saw YouTube videos. We knew these players were cheating, and we did nothing to respond. Why? Because we knew the modding community was going to test out defenses with accounts they didn't care about. And obviously, they also wanted to wait for July sales to be over. Do I think that those specific July sales have absolutely nothing to do with the timing of these bans? No. I think it's one of those things that everybody who thinks for a second will understand and realize. And I kind of don't blame Kabam about it either, to be honest. Because, why not make some money off some of these arena botters potentially before you ban them? And also, the point that I mentioned here is that it's likely true that people, used bots on some mini accounts or some old alt accounts that they didn't care about to see whether they get banned, and if nothing happened, maybe give a green light to their main accounts. We wanted them to build confidence that changes they had made to their mods would evade our detection and then bring back online accounts they didn't want to lose. This also worked. While cheating in Danny Moonstar Arena was sparse, Lady Deathstrike Arena saw substantial return of modders, which is exactly what I commented on in one of the previous videos, where a ton of modders had come back, specifically for Lady Deathstrike Arena. Not to the same extent as before the June action, but enough that we have decided to pull the trigger with another ban wave. So here is the juicy part. To this end, over 100 arena cheaters were banned today. All of those bans were permanent, regardless of previous cheating behavior or any other factor. And whilst this is commendable change for sure, I do wonder whether this had anything to do with the fact that after the initial ban wave, it does seem that majority of the top-end high-spend accounts are staying away from the bots, at the very least for time being, and they do not need to risk permaban those. But nonetheless, this is absolutely great news, in my opinion, and I hope Kabam adopts this permaban stance to mods, period. I do think, obviously, that there are different levels of quote-unquote TOS breaches, but at the point when you go and download external software to, basically cheat the game in egregious manner, that is probably the factor number one for permaban. And yeah, I do hope we see all permabans issued for Battlegrounds mods, regardless of previous factor and stuff like that. All these bans are permanent. No clawbacks will be required for champions acquired in arenas. Their Battlegrounds solo event scores and Gladiator Circuit ranks will be set to 0. Now, this part, who cares? Because they're permaban. Well, I mean, obviously, it is important to get them off the Gladiator Circuit leaderboard and Battlegrounds solo event leaderboard. So I suppose, never mind. That is a good thing. But that is a good thing for people placing properly. But this is kind of like what you expect. Here is the trick, though. Well, we are unfortunately unable to zero out their Battlegrounds Alliance event scores during the season. We believe we should be able to do it after the season closes and before ranked rewards are distributed. I would love to see that as well. Because, yeah, if your account's permabanned, obviously you're not going to benefit any of those rewards, but, you know, the team might have benefited significantly from that. There were a number of borderline cases we need to investigate further. Once this is complete, action is taken against these accounts. Featured hero rewards from Danny onwards will be corrected for those promoted to the top 400. So there will be people who missed out just on Lady Deathstrike or Danny Moonstar that will receive their champions in the mail, which is again something that's awesome. This may take up to the end of the month, and correcting these rewards multiple times would take a significant amount of data resources we are using to catch more cheaters. We ask that summoners please be patient with us while we try to catch as many of these cheaters as possible. And overall, I definitely must say that this is a great update. This is a great course of action, in my opinion. The bigger, it is pleasant to see that Kabam is, staying on top of it. I hope it continues in the future. I hope it isn't just like 1-2 type of thing. I hope this is a regular thing where we, number one, get updates, and number two, get action from Kabam. And if they carry in this manner, I think the game's going to be better for it. Also, the change to permanent bans was definitely unexpected, but a welcome one. And especially now, you can kind of understand the thought process there on the change as well, because when Kabam did this first set of bans, probably in their heads they thought that that will work as some sort of warning shot, as like a final warning, cease cease action now, or it's gonna go to crap very, very fast. And now, after this first ban wave that was very large scale and covered everywhere and had a massive impact to the game, Kabam just went no more warning shots. If after all of that you're still using arena bots, then once we catch you, that's it, wiped out. And yeah, I do like to see that a lot. I am also interested in what are your guys' thoughts, because so far in the forums we have seen, A minus boarding B plus, nice progress, keep up in arena, been horrendous, best news I have heard all day, love to see that. I'm going to get my Danny Moon back. Well, maybe 64 people, that's quite a lot. But it's a trap. A language that I do not quite understand. Sounds promising, but doesn't mention anything about modders and battlegrounds. I have heard about significant amount of modders and battlegrounds this season, especially though. I do want to mention on that front also, and the very big factor of that is because this month's battlegrounds are open to lower level accounts. So anybody who will want to mod in battlegrounds have to put in significantly less effort to raise a new account, because with the mods they can do it, even quicker than they normally would. And I think that does correspond with, effort versus cost equation for these modders. But if they have to grind a new account for like a day or 8 hours before they can get in battlegrounds in a normal season, then cutting that time in half, perhaps, there are probably quite a few people who wouldn't have bothered before, but do so now because it's, lower requirements needed to enter battlegrounds in the first place. third-party zeroing scores. Zeroing scores obviously is needed. Zeroing scores, I think, is somewhat of an incorrect term for this. I think it's more so than, adjusting leaderboards. I think that's the ultimate implication there. Because zeroing scores typically would imply that those accounts, are still in the game and just don't get anything from this event. But zeroing somebody's score out, they're permanently banned, it just corrects the leaderboard. So, but yeah, that is good that the leaderboards are corrected, obviously. And that's about it here so far. And not too many comments here. I kind of expected more, but it's definitely great news. And I'm very happy that we do get these updates, and I hope we get many, many, many more of them. Every other week or so, or a couple times a month. I think is a very good place for these updates to come. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about these happenings, and I will catch you guys soon. Bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about